So I actually have siblings in the car with me this week. Are you guys? Do you get along? Or are you dysfunctional?
Oh, the two of us? I thought you meant your siblings. You mean
No.
we are
like,
siblings?
wow, I'm missing. You would think I saw everyone in the car.
We get along
Are
okay.
those the only two options?
I'll let my brother answer.
Well, here's the thing. If you're stuck in a dysfunctional family plan, it's time for you to make the switch over to Boost Mobile. Right now, you can switch to Boost Mobile's best family plan, and you're a family, so this is a natural, and get 4 lines for only $100 a month. With Metro PCS, you only get 2 gigs per line for the same price. And when you switch to Boost today, you can get up to 4 free phones. It's the best value in wireless among national prepaid carriers, and it's all powered by the fast and reliable Sprint nationwide network, which I'm on, which is what I use every week for Carne. That's how we do Facebook Live. That's how I take pictures. The camera on my Samsung S8 is amazing. So 4 lines, $100 a month. What are you waiting for? Boost makes it easy to switch. And switching, gentlemen, makes it easy to save. Offer ends on June 1st, so just a couple days away. You do need 1 line to port in to be eligible for that. And with that, let's do this thing.
Let's do this.
That was awesome.
That was well done. That was really,
Yeah.
That was nicely delivered.
So we're done?
Yeah, that's
Yep,
it.
It's been a pleasure.
Good night, everybody.
Can I have my sandwich?
It's Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
All right, it is Carne, the world's only food podcast recorded in a car. That car is my Mazda 3. My Mazda 3 is parked on Lincoln Avenue by Bryn Mawr, right? Bryn Mawr? Yeah. By that long line of sleazy motels.
Whoa, with the sleazy.
And I'm here with the Honorable Hot Dog Zone.
Good afternoon.
And
evening.
The aforementioned sibling team of Chris and Nick Markos. And here's where it all becomes really interesting. We went to high school together.
What?
That wasn't me.
Except for Hot Doug. The Markos brothers have just completed the Hot Doug's documentary. Everything that led up to the closing of Hot Doug's, the final day of Hot Doug's, and Hot Doug is here, but Hot Doug has not seen the documentary.
That's correct. I was not. That was part of the deal. I have not been allowed to see it. I'm very, very nervous.
So we are at Hub's. I said we're on Lincoln Avenue. We're at Hub's, which is an area favorite. And in fact, SNL did a skit about Hub's in the early 90s. That was the, you like the sauce? The sauce is
the
good.
juice.
You like the juice? That's what it was.
Was it that late? Was it the 90s?
Yeah, because Rob Schneider
It was
in
definitely
it.
Rob Schneider. Chris Farley, I believe, may have been
I think
part of
Sandler
that
was in it
sketch.
too.
That could be.
And Mike Myers. So yeah, you like the juice? The juice is good, huh? Which I almost forgot about until I pulled in here. And of course, there's a big sign, like an artistic depiction of that skit inside Hub's. But
A historical
I love how
document of sorts.
I love how they're milking that as if people today walking in would be like, oh yeah, I remember that 30-year-old SNL skit.
all right, so that's yours, right?
Precisely.
So we're distributing the Hubs. This is going to be a challenge. Nick thought it would be a good idea to eat chili in the car, which I...
This would turn out to be a terrible idea. I thought it would be because it has its own container and stuff, and I didn't really think it through. I really needed to go sandwich, I think.
Yeah, I got a dipped Italian beef. You
tried to
may
warn
have
you
won
guys.
this. Yeah, it's true.
Let me know if this is a beef.
All right, we'll see what happens.
That looks like an Italian beef. Now, I tried to warn you about Italian beef as well.
Yeah.
You ordered it dipped,
I didn't
Doug,
listen.
which means it's going to run right down your forearms.
Yeah, but onto your car, so really. And I've spilled in this car before. Oh, there's
That is true.
one right there.
Now, this looks like my Euro plate.
Oh, yeah.
So, for the Markos brothers, you are of Hellenic descent.
It's true.
Is this the real thing at Hub's?
Well, the gyro, I mean, the gyro you get in America is not like the gyros you get in Greece. It's made differently.
Oh, look at this.
This is authentic Greek American.
Okay,
Yeah, this is
I'll buy that.
I'm just kidding with the gyro. It's gyros, people.
You got to put a little spin on that R.
You do. And if you are going to say gyro, which you shouldn't, add an S. That doesn't make it plural. It's just a word that ends in S.
like
I'm putting that out there
weenus.
for you.
All right, so Doug got the sausage.
No, I got the Italian beef.
Beef, that's right. I just
You would
naturally
think.
associate sausage with you. I mean,
Absolutely.
after you close Hot Doug's, did you just say, I'm not going to eat sausage ever again?
Oh, gosh, no. No, I was kind of
when you started,
bummed. That's
probably.
exactly. I didn't have one while I worked there. No, it's one of the things I miss very little about the restaurant, but one of the things is the food, and I still love a good sausage.
How's everything going at Wrigley?
Everything's going great. It's
Except for
still,
the baseball.
Well, it's early. That's why I'm going to keep saying that until about Labor Day.
Did they give you a ring? You deserved a ring.
No, they didn't. They did not give me a ring.
Seems like
I
you
still-
should have gotten one.
You would think.
Like a front of house guy.
Yeah, that's what I say. But that's all right. I don't like to be that ostentatious.
But so for those of us who maybe haven't gone to Wrigley Field, let's say we're Sox fans, and we haven't had a chance to go to hot dogs at Wrigley, is it just a truncated version of what was in Roscoe Village?
Oh, very much so. It's, barely scratches the surface. It's 3 sausages per, and it changes every homestand. And that's it. And then you can also buy beer, but no, just that's it.
All right, so let's talk about the movie for a second. You haven't
Right,
seen
this
it.
is where I get to go eat now.
So Doug has not been allowed to see it, but now it's done. When does he get to when,
It's true. I don't know if he hasn't been allowed as much as he's been dissuaded from watching it. Because we thought it'd be a lot cooler if Doug saw it in the theater and the premiere in front of other people rather than on a computer screen,
Yeah, that makes
laptop
sense.
at home. I think it'd have a little more impact.
And Doug, you said you're nervous?
Easier.
I mean, it's pretty much a hatchet job. That's what he's worried about. And
It
as
takes
long
some
as
very dark turns.
As long as that dogfighting
Very
scene
good.
is taken out, that's all I'm asking.
well, there's
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit nervous. Just, I mean, I've been on TV and things like that, and it still makes me anxious seeing, watching those like segments that, yeah, not nervous as much as probably anxious is probably a better word.
Well, it's probably self-conscious, right?
Absolutely, right. As I think, you record music. Do you listen to your records?
Rarely for enjoyment because I hear the flaws or what could have
Right.
happened, so it's hard. It's harder for me to, it's harder to listen to your own stuff.
So let's take it back to the initial idea.
Yeah.
Did the idea come before or after Doug announced he was closing his place?
after.
So the way I tell it is
Trying to be
that
succinct.
Chris called me. We were talking, I think, that night, right? There was sort of like a frenzy of people, and the, satellite trucks rushed out to Doug's restaurant.
Did they mention it in the press?
A little. And then he called me, and we were sort of talking about, like, the people were going crazy about this. And he said, basically, someone should make a documentary about this phenomenon. And I said, maybe that should be you. And that's kind of how it started to come together.
And then this, I would assume, became a 24/7 effort. I mean, you
Did
put a lot
for
of work
while,
in
as
this.
yeah, it was a lot of hours, I think, as it approached the
Yeah.
closing date. And then obviously afterwards actually is when more of it happened, because it's going through the footage and editing that stuff that Chris and our editor Brian Simpson did.
Shout out to B. Simpson.
Now, with the documentary, no, I'm not a filmmaker. You are, but it seems like the idea is to kind of go into it without an agenda. Like, what visually you want to capture, but you don't really know where it's going to take you, do you?
You don't know where it's going to take you. So that's the thing about documentary filmmaking. It's really the film is found in the editing room to some extent, or to a large extent. So you got to have a plan. So we worked up some ideas and some themes we wanted to pursue, and then we went in and captured elements that we thought were appropriate. But like you say, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to go down. So while we had ideas ahead of time, it certainly came out a little differently than original intention. Yeah.
Is there a fork in that bag, by the way?
I haven't seen one, but we'll look.
Give it a peek. I would benefit from a fork. But, okay, my hand works just as well. It is what it is. All right, without giving anything away and not ruining it for Doug, some themes.
The restaurant closes.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, seriously.
One of the themes I picked up on, and I would say this even without seeing the movie, just based on what Hot Dogs is and was and meant, community is a big theme of what you guys put together.
Absolutely.
Community building, community nurturing.
The community, and even to the extent of fandom, right? What makes people wait in line a couple hours to go to a restaurant? What makes people get a tattoo?
Let's talk about that. 'cause
So it's a little beyond community. I would say it is community, but it's even maybe a little more exaggerated.
that is my favorite part of hot dogs history, the tattoo. And it is touched on in the documentary, again, without spoiling anything. Doug, can you talk about that?
Sure. So the very quick story, when I first opened, we were basically funded by Lane Tech, like the kids' original location. They would come over, and then a kid who would come, I'm going to say, please help yourself. Almost every day, comes in one day and shows that he got a tattoo of the Hot Dogs logo on his inner arm from elbow to wrist.
Amazing.
And I foolishly said, well, I can't charge you for food anymore. And then it kind of apparently word spread. There are tattoo blogs, which I quickly learned about. And then slowly people would come in and ask, is that true? And I was like, sure. Thinking, well, that's never going to happen again. And it ended up being, I think, just a little over 100 people.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Never charged them. And no one ever really took advantage of it at all. That I was like,
That's our next documentary.
Yeah. But there's some great stories about it, about the tattoo as well.
Has anybody expressed regret to you that they got it when you did anybody get it a week before you announced the closing or something?
One person. I always warn people, the tattoo is permanent. I am not. And yes, a kid came in and said, yeah, I got this 3 days before you announced. Wow. I was like, well, you got 4 months, 5 months.
Had some time.
Yeah, you have some time, and it's the chance you take in life. 6 or 7 people got RIP hot dogs tattoos as well after we closed.
Did they just add the RIP to an existing tattoo?
No, they actually brand new. I think one may have, but the other people got brand new tattoos, like an RIP.
Well, better that
like
than
a phrase on it.
Better that than an RIP hot Doug.
You're telling me.
That would be really distressing. RIP hot Doug. Nice knowing you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so back to Team Markos.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, please.
Chris, you talked about the fandom, which absolutely is a part of this. Tell me about specifically filming that last day, which was a big pop culture moment in Chicago.
Yeah.
To see your film, it seemed like everyone was in a good mood. Was that for real?
Well, I mean,
Because these people are waiting for 8 hours for a sausage.
I will say that what you see is certainly for real. It's all documentary. Nothing is staged. Not one moment. However, the editing process was thorough. And there were certainly some moments we captured that wound up on the cutting room floor, as we say.
Uh-huh.
Some people may have overserved themselves overnight.
I believe that. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll let the mind, just fill in the gaps here.
Doug, do you miss the social aspect of the restaurant?
That's the only thing I miss. The food. Well, I always put in order. I always forget the paycheck.
I was going to say, the money?
Yeah. The food, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, my favorite part of the job was talking to people.
You seem to revel in it, just BSing
Absolutely.
with people, just making really quick, short, small talk.
Yep.
And making them feel like, hey, I made a good decision to come here.
Exactly, and that was the fun part. And the reason when people ask me, why I didn't open up a second one, is well, then I don't get to do the only part of the job I like. Running a restaurant, dealing with staff, dealing with all the particulars, all the other chazarai that comes with it.
Yeah.
That part,
Back the tape up for a second.
That's right. Absolutely. No, thank you. But yeah, the talking those 45-second conversations and picking up conversations that I'd had the week before with people and seeing people coming back and the regulars, and that part was awesome, and that I genuinely do miss.
I've heard you say it countless times, probably to me too. But when people ask about you getting back into the restaurant business, it's usually something like a fast hell no.
Right.
Not even a moment's hesitation. It's almost like a bitter response. Like, oh, God, no, I'd never do that again.
And that is mostly, and that's all a few reasons, but solely because I know exactly how much work it takes to do that. And I'm, now 17 years older than I was when I first started it, and I was not young then. And just that
You look like you're 20.
But it's the Italian beef. The
Sausage keeps a man young.
That's it's all the exactly.
Wait, what?
I saw that
Wait,
movie.
Hello. Knowing the commitment, knowing the physical demand, the mental demand, it just holds absolutely no appeal. And there's also an aspect of it, for me, the story of the restaurant, the beginning, the middle, and the end, was perfect. Was absolutely perfect. And to try to recapture that or to do something, there's no way to that it wouldn't be compared to that, or that I personally wouldn't always compare it to that experience. And for me, it's like this perfect part of my life that I loved. It was great, and that's done. And time to do something else.
Okay, so what is that something else?
We're working on. I'm really hoping this movie makes like $150 million. I hope it's Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah.
and then Hot Dogs the movie.
Right. If you like Chris Pratt, you're going to love Hot Dog.
Oh, you'll go nuts.
From your lips to God's ears.
I don't know. We're still working on that part of it. I didn't think the plan all the way through.
You do have a podcast.
Do have a podcast, Nick and Doug's Sound Explosion, a peer podcast for now people. Was that right? Did I get that right? Yeah.
That's not unwieldy at all. I think that's great.
No, I said that with like a mouthful of Italian beef.
Let's go back to the movie. It's done. What's next?
What's next is a premiere, Chicago premiere. I wish we could announce it right now, but we just haven't inked the contract yet. We've got a bunch of things in the works. We got a little press a couple weeks ago, and phone's been ringing nonstop.
Well,
since then,
was that Eater?
it was Eater.
Because that caused me to send an email like, "Hey, it's done. Let's talk."
Once it was on Eater, then the Tribune picked it up, and Chicagoist, and DNA Info, and we got all sorts of crazy, wacky inquiries via email, phone, and whatnot.
Can Doug cater it?
Doug can. JVL, let me ask you a question. Were you a hot dogs man? You visited numerous times when it was open. Do you feel that we captured the spirit of hot dogs
Absolutely.
in the film?
Absolutely.
Because that's really what we set out to do, is
Here's what
capture the spirit.
Here's what I liked about it. Hot Doug was at the center of it, but you really paid great attention to the support, the guys who worked in the kitchen for years with Doug. I mean, family, I guess, would be another theme, now that I think about it. The family you create at work. And that was a family. I mean, this is an industry with ridiculous turnover, and these guys stayed loyal, which I thought was a really interesting part of this. So you have...
I'm nodding in
Yeah,
case
so
you
you
can't
have-
hear me.
So you have loyalty represented in two different places. You've got the customer loyalty and you have the staff loyalty.
And Doug's loyalty to them. I mean,
Fair enough.
Any day they were open, he was at the front counter. Anyone who went there knows that, right? He wasn't just running a business to make money and stopping in, pulling his Lexus up. You still drive the Lexus? And popping in to check the receipts.
It looks just like a Ford Fiesta, but it's
Well-
a Lexus.
I'm not that good with cars. So.
I think it's also, there's an interesting thing in there, and maybe you got this out of watching it, I think, where there's like a connection between the people who would go there, right? The people who went to the restaurant, even if they didn't know each other. There was, I think a lot of people kind of talked about how they met other people in line and they visited with people there, and there's just kind of like a vibe to the whole thing.
Well, I think that goes back to what I was saying about community. It's like going to a rock show. Like when you go to a small punk club,
Right.
there's that shared experience and that shared sense of identity. It's like we discovered something cool,
Right.
and that other people don't know about.
Right.
I've had alligator and boar sausage.
And
Yeah,
and
that's
of
right.
course, there's the haters out there. We know that. I'm sure,
There might be some in here.
there might be some in here. We'll check on that after the podcast. But that's the thing. It's like for people who weren't into it or aren't going to be into the movie, so be it. But there is a community, like you said, of people who do appreciate the way Doug did things. The food, the community, the humor, the personality, the environment. And so, that's what we tried to capture, and that's who we captured it for.
See, I was wondering as we were waiting in line at Hub's, knowing that Doug's background or his fame and success is based on these gourmet sausages, this really amazing sausage eating experience. And I wondered if going to somewhere like Hub's was, this is the wrong word, but beneath Doug, And what did you say to me, Doug?
I believe I said that if given the choice of, well, I hate to see
I know,
now
you
Grant
don't say
now.
the name.
Let's say a restaurant that rhymes with, I don't know, Alinea and Hubs, I would pick Hubs, every time. And part of that is I've also been to fine dining, or many fine dining restaurants around the world, and it's great. But one of the things that I miss about the restaurant was this idea that everyone could eat there.
Well, I
That
also-
it was inexpensive, that it was food that was very approachable, and that it wasn't
But was still
for
great.
a select. Appreciate that, but it wasn't just for a select few.
Well, the other thing I think is right that food, if it's good, it's good. Right?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be expensive to be good or quote unquote fancy or rare.
It's
right.
absolutely
I
right.
mean,
That's a perfect point.
And some of the best meals I've had in my life have been, incredibly inexpensive
right.
meals as well.
Some of the best meals in my life have been had at Johnny's in Elmwood Park off North Avenue.
Sure.
Some of them have been in this car.
I don't believe that's true, actually.
No, the first one wasn't so much.
I can confirm that is not a fact.
I always like to also tell this story. The first time I did the podcast, it was about 20 minutes into it that I realized I could take my seatbelt off.
I'm buckled up just in case.
I think I was actually reaching for something. It's like, oh, yeah, I probably don't need that.
Well, this is the exciting point where we're going to go to Facebook Live.
Oh, is that right? I don't know what that means, honestly.
Well, you know what Facebook is?
I do.
Yeah.
Facebook Live is a way to
So if
instantly-
somebody's tuned into your page right now, they'll see us.
Yes, and Facebook will send out alerts basically saying,
okay.
hey, James Van Alstel is live,
Okay.
and it's very exciting.
All right. I'm ready.
Are you ready? So we're going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about sausage.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Whatever you want to talk about.
We can talk about music, too.
Okay.
Ready? Here we go.
Built this city.
I'm so glad I got this car mount.
That looks great.
Connecting.
That's pro. Come on.
Am I still talking into the microphone?
Yes, because we're still podcasting.
Okay.
Pardon me?
I don't see the on-air sign. That's where I got confused. Do
You
you
know,
have the hub Wi-Fi password?
seriously, this is...
They have lo-fi, I think.
Here we go, here we go.
Oh, it's a
Are you
countdown.
feeling it? Are you feeling it?
0.
great.
Okay,
live.
we're here. We are live.
We're
in the car.
live.
Doug, lean over.
I'm in.
That's
I know.
Hot Doug.
Hugs.
There he is.
That's true. Right here. Oh,
Hot Doug?
hold on, I'm going to grab because
Oh, he's going mobile.
Yeah.
That's Chris Markos. What are you doing? And that's Nick Markos back there.
Hello.
These two guys just finished a documentary about that guy right there, Hot Doug.
That's true.
Weird.
So you may have heard there was a sausage place over in Roscoe Village called Hot Doug's.
It was in Avondale.
It was. Yes, it was. Originally, it was in Roscoe.
Originally, it was in Roscoe Village. All right,
Right.
fair enough. Sorry, that was a little sassy of me. I apologize.
Okay.
You are full of sass.
We'll edit that out.
All right.
No, we're live. We can't edit a damn thing right
son
now.
of a-
So, anyways, Hot Doug's, it went away. It got some press. And when it was announced that Hot Doug was closing his joint, this guy right here said we should make a movie out of it. So tell us about the documentary. Tell the denizens of Facebook Live about the documentary.
Slice of life. It's the story of the closing of Hot Doug's, the fandom, the food, the people who work there, the institution, the community, the craziness. It's coming out soon this summer. We hope to show all of Chicago Hot Doug's the movie.
Doug, were you surprised, talking about that last day, which these guys captured on film, were you surprised by just how big those lines were?
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, the whole from the moment I tried to be very subtle and cryptic with the announcement and realized people read through that in about 8 seconds. And then especially like the last 6-7 weeks was just mind-boggling and had no real concept of really what was going to happen until it was in the midst of it.
So when people came in and ordered on that last day, were they just stocking up?
There was a little bit of that, and there were actually a few times in the last few weeks that I had told people, it's like, you can't order that much. Because at that point, then it's catering, and like we'll shut down the line, and you won't like it. And it was one of the. It was a little bittersweet in the sense that the restaurant, especially the last month or so, became something that I didn't want it to be. I really wanted a place you came in, you had lunch, we got to chit chat, and then you left, and then it just took on kind of this life.
Yeah, I would
On-
even
on
say
its
from
own.
filmmakers' perspective, we did film the final days of hot dogs, including the last day. And in the editing process, while we wanted to show that, we also wanted to give a sense of what the restaurant was usually like. So, that's something we kept in mind the whole time, because we wanted to capture the essence of the restaurant, including the closing, but not just the pure insanity that
the
went
mania,
down at the end.
around that.
Mania. That's it.
So a hot dog, if people are missing your sausage, as it were,
Sure.
Wrigley Field?
I never get tired of the sausage double entendres.
How could you?
Yeah, very good.
'Cause we're all-
17 years now, still, still love it.
Yeah, we're all 13-year-old boys. at
Yeah,
heart,
absolutely.
Duh.
really. So people can find your sausages at Wrigley Field.
Yes, bleachers only, which is, I like it because it's
Darker.
Well, in keeping with the restaurant, kind of a pain in the ass to get to and really limited hours. But we do, it's like 3 choices for each game. But bleachers, you have to have a bleacher ticket.
So do you have like all access now at Wrigley?
I do.
Like your first name with the Ricketts and all that?
A little bit.
You mean
yeah.
Tommy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of.
So
yeah, it's very strange. Although, and then there are times that like trying to get a return phone call becomes like a thing. It's a big company.
So let's talk
They've
about
been busy, I've heard.
They're little.
so
busy
the World
going
Series
on.
year. Like, what kind of access? Like, what cool stuff did you as Hot Dog get to do?
Not as cool as I wish it were, but I get.
Did you get to take BP with the team?
I don't do that, but I get to go. I get to walk in, and I get to go watch a lot of baseball. I get to walk in kind of anytime I want to.
He gets some
Can you go
PFP,
before
some
they
pitcher.
open the gates? Can you go?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I have visions of you and like Jake Arrieta doing Jameson shots.
Really not Pilates. Me and Jake.
Are those mutually exclusive? I mean,
It's true. That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah, no. That a lot of that is it's a $1 billion company, and
Yeah.
you sort of get lulled into thinking it's this pastoral, family business, but it's a big company. And having seen enough of this, the fact that they get the game going and on time and everything's done, it's pretty remarkable.
Now, I asked this earlier in the podcast, but now we're on Facebook Live. Hello. This is the Boost Mobile broadcast.
It's
of
looking
Kirkland
good.
Kearney.
On
Great
the
looking
screen's
broadcast.
nice.
Well, I got this thing on the windshield now. I've really advanced, so I'm not using my hand
Amazing.
anymore.
Oh, yeah, no,
I'm
this is-
free to do whatever I want. I can wave. I can.
Sure.
Nice.
This is a
Hands-free.
big, it's a big
we can
development.
touch. It's amazing.
But the movie's coming out, and the question, Doug, you always get asked, and I'm going to ask it again: would you ever open up another restaurant? Would you ever do this again?
No. And
Wait, we couldn't
a
hear you.
respectful pause
Slow
there
down.
before just blurting
Yeah, it's
that.
no. No. And like I was saying before, for me, hot dogs. It was great, and it was perfect, and it was this incredible story for me. Which was.
It's not what you were
really
saying
what I
earlier.
wanted to. But now we're on Facebook Live, and this is a whole different thing. Mr. Sessions might be watching this. I have no
Jeff?
idea what the hell any of that meant. Yeah, he's totally watching. He watches everything.
Hi, Donnie.
But it was such a perfect story for me. How it started, what all the craziness that went on during the 14 years, and how it ended, and to try to. I would never try to replicate that, but even it would always be, if I were to open another restaurant, for myself, I would always naturally be comparing it to that. And the fact, knowing exactly how hard and how dedicated you have to be to opening a restaurant. And I am not a young man. I wasn't a young man when I started it. I am not a young man now.
I do want to
just
say,
like it's so daunting, and just have no desire.
Chris Reynolds just checked in, said, "Now I want a hot dog."
That's nice. That was nice.
That
Thanks,
should
Chris.
be a steady state of being, though. That should never
Wrigley
really
Field
change.
tomorrow night.
Or
Bleachers.
stop on by. I have a grill at home.
Never even
your own
invited
dog.
me.
grill. Yeah.
Dana would also like a hot dog. I think when you guys go to a hot dog joint, now we can't go to hot dogs, but when you go to a hot dog joint, do you get one for the road? Like when I have to go retrieve hot dogs for the family, I always get a snack hot dog.
Nice.
Snack dog.
Because one hot dog is never enough. You cannot.
Never.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just ordered 2.
One
We
is
might
really
have to
just.
call up Todd. He'll be on that trail with you.
Yeah, I always make one disappear before I make it home, and they're usually like $2 or $3. I mean,
Right.
Sure.
And they're
It's like-
delicious.
It's not the money, is it?
it's It's not the money.
It's definitely not. No, because and people ask me, "Is like we're ever sick of hot dogs?" Like never. I still love them. I still, when you have a good hot
they've
dog,
done
it's
well.
awesome.
Do you
They've
make
done
Vienna
great.
beef at home? What kind of hot dog do you buy?
That's a great question, Chris.
If I do regular hot dogs, yeah, I'll stop by the Vienna store and get Vienna beef. Or
I love going
different
to
kinds of sausage.
to the factory.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the best because you can eat like these perfect, out of a catalog Chicago hot dogs
Yep.
with the guys who work in the plant,
Yeah, absolutely.
like side by side in their cafeteria.
Also, great corned beef sandwiches.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do like the
Yeah.
Vienna corned beef.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yep.
Although I believe that to be an oxymoron, that's okay.
You don't like corned beef?
You don't like corned
Negative.
beef? What's up with that?
I think the Reuben's a perfect sandwich.
It is.
It is. I would put a Cuban sandwich and a Reuben, 1 and 2.
Because they rhyme or no?
And I question the hot dog as a sandwich. We've talked about that. But if a hot dog is considered a
Now,
sandwich,
what's your stance on that?
Mine,
oh, he's been clear.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
I believe the Latin sui generis. It is a thing of itself. A hot dog is a hot dog.
I love
a
when he speaks
sandwich is a
Latin.
hot
He went to
sandwich.
Latin school. I
Your
mean, it
Venn
makes sense.
diagram, they do not meet.
I thought you were pro hot dog as a sandwich.
No,
I misunderstood your position.
that's all right.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
God
glad,
we
I'm glad
clarified
you're
it.
exactly.
All right. So the movie is Hot Dogs the movie,
It is.
and we're just waiting for the debut. I have seen it. Doug has not.
I have not.
This is where you say it was awesome.
I mean,
was awesome.
Oh, that's wait. Who says I can't say it? All right. Oh,
No, I can say it. It's
I
great.
saw it. It was awesome.
Here's what's great about it, and it was awesome. And thank you for prompting me. What I like about it is you need not have ever gone to Hot Dogs to appreciate the movie.
You know what? That's
great.
as a filmmaker, that's great to hear because we wanted to make a film that obviously fans of hot dogs
Mm-hmm.
would enjoy, but that anyone should be able to watch and get something.
There are
from it.
certain themes. We talk about this in the podcast, which will roll out in 2 weeks. We talk about certain themes that come up, but things like community and family, those are there whether intentional or not. But those resonate with people who maybe have never been to the restaurant or maybe don't even like meat.
Yeah, that's
Tell you
good.
what, I was vegan for a while and used to go into hot dogs. We had quite some times talking about that, didn't we?
That's true. I vaguely remember that.
Vaguely.
I was so
You were
drunk.
drunk again.
All right, so
It was 14 years. It was a lot to get. It was a tough day.
It's a lot of drinking.
well, I have a hard time with names. I'm terrible with names, and it's nothing I'm proud of. But Doug, you would have people roll through your restaurant nonstop for X amount of years. Are you good with names? Could you like?
Horrible.
So was it one of those? Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Senator, chief, doctor.
Commander?
Should I can admit something at this point.
I like
I
Commander.
had underneath the underneath the counter.
I don't even know this. This is
You don't know
exciting.
this?
No.
Underneath the counter, I had cheat notes of people, and I have very small handwriting.
Now I'm gonna have to.
And I would
amend the
write
film.
the person's name when I finally got it, and a little like my description of them.
Like
And-
tall guy, red hair. It's
Precisely, or look like somewhat,
Okay.
looks like Harry Potter.
so great.
And I would pull the old.
Potter.
Oh, I think let me look for something when I'd see them in line, like or when they got close to the line,
Nice.
and know, and then find the card. Yeah,
So what happened when the guy with the beard and the tattoos walked in? How did you?
That- that guy, a beardy guy. I would always remember. I mean, I knew obviously who they were, but names horrible. I knew what they wanted to order. I knew, like the story that we talked about previously. I knew whether it was someone talking about baseball or music or whatever. Right. But names there were, and it would only do it with people whose names. Oh, I should know after visit number 17.
See, I think this is actually. Did you just think to do that, or did you hear about that doing that somewhere? Because I've
note
done
cards?
that. Yeah, because I did that when I started a job a few years ago. I kept a notebook with me, and as I met people, knowing that I have this horrible inability to remember people, I would write down, red hair, marketing, or black hair, HR, avoid, whatever those notes were. But that was the only way I could do it.
Likewise, and there were some people like right away, like knew told me their name, no problem, like right away. But they're just this, and I have no idea if there was like a theme among people, but certain people absolutely flat out could not remember their names. And then you get to that point where you can't ask.
Right.
Yeah, it's too late.
Right. Yeah. So those are the people I would try to overhear Like, hopefully, like the spouse would say the name, and then I could try to remember it and then write it down, like, the moment they left.
I was going to say, so what would happen? Because when you took someone's order, you would write down their name, right? Like, oh, Chris ordered, this and that and the other. So did you ever wind up in a point where you're like, it's time to write their name down, but I don't want to ask them?
And then we'd pull the old, oh, God, I'm getting on in years. I had a rough night last night. And then kind of do the old name. And then every once in a while, someone would catch, was like, you can't remember. I was like, I took a shot.
All right, so Doug, while we're still on Facebook Live, and we're still recording this podcast, you were known for exotic, interesting, cool sausages.
I can live with that.
What were 2 or 3 of your favorites? Like meats, maybe things like boar are common in your world. Like, what were some of the more exotic things that you think were really cool and more people should have tried?
That's a good question.
Aardvark?
It wasn't really so much like the different animals as much it was some of the different like styles of sausage. Like we did a boudin blanc, which is this.
You're going to need to translate for us.
That's right. It's a Korean sausage, obviously. It's this pork and veal and milk sausage. So it's really this sort of soft textured kind of, and a lot of chicken livers in it as well. So this kind of this funky, softer textured sausage that I think was fantastic. That was a tougher one to sell because certain things like people would, if it was alligator, no problem. Even the wild boar, any of the unusual animals, like, oh, okay, I'll try kangaroo.
You had kangaroo sausage.
Yeah.
Anything that might be on Animal Planet sells well.
We could stuff it into a grinder.
Would you say it was totally in the pocket?
Nah, I see what you did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I got more.
but that was
wow. I think that eye roll from Nick actually translated to Facebook Live. That's great.
Yeah.
You can actually see that.
That's good.
So yeah, it was more like kind of not the animals as much as kind of the unusual sausages. We did one called andouillette, which is not like andouille at all. Basically, like an intestine stuffed with more intestines, and yet people didn't really.
That's so
go
meta.
For it. Exactly. But blood sausage sold a good amount of it, but not as much as.
And only Klingons were ordering that.
Yeah.
So is blood sausage? Is it blood? Is that what we're talking?
That's
I mean,
the
it's literal.
thickener. Yeah. There's either usually cow's blood.
Because there's those things like when they call it sweetbreads. It's not sweet and it's not bread.
Correct.
It's
because
like a trick.
thyroid gland just doesn't sound as appealing. On the
I
menu.
have a sweetbread story. I was at
Who doesn't?
I was at Q101. This was maybe late 90s, and I was vegetarian at the time. It was an interesting phase.
No
And
one's perfect.
I went out to, it was a record company dinner at Spago in River North. And, Spago was,
That was the thing.
yeah, it was the thing.
So are record companies.
So, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we went out to the restaurant. I think it was a couple of disc jockeys, a couple of the programmers, and I honestly forgot what the label was. But I'm looking at the menu, and usually when I went out for dinner as a vegetarian, I could find something on the menu. Whether it was a salad, I could always find something that I'd be able to eat. And I'm looking at the menu, I'm like, oh, sweetbreads. In my head, I thought they were pumpkin bread and zucchini loaf. I don't know what I was thinking. It was not thyroid gland.
No.
So the waitress comes by, and I order the sweetbreads, and everyone at the table knows me. They're like, Jesus Christ, what are you thinking? You're vegetarian. That's the farthest thing from it. I'm like, it's not like pumpkin bread and stuff. No, you fucking moron. Are you kidding me?
That's great.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting
Did
thing.
you send them back?
Well, I mean, it was caught at the moment of ordering.
Okay.
But they didn't have an option for me. Like Spago didn't have a vegetarian. Like
They wouldn't just be like, you know what? We do have vegetables, and we'll make something for you. Then no.
No, I remember kind of roughing it for that meal.
I don't think they would. I can't imagine there's any restaurant now that doesn't.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's a
I couldn't
different-
imagine back
different day
then.
and age.
I mean, even when I opened hot dogs, we had a veggie dog
Yeah.
on the menu right at the beginning because then my feeling was, well, if there's a group of 6 people coming from an office and one of them's a vegetarian, I still want them to come to the restaurant. And we sold a lot of them.
In the movie,
I ate a number of them.
Steve Albini's in the movie. Do you get along with Steve Albini?
Do I?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
because he seems like the kind of guy who gets along with nobody.
He
Were you there when we were filming?
Really?
You know what? I served him food.
JK.
We talked baseball. You know, it was like, I think there was, you know, I wasn't asking him for, you know, anything or recording. So, no, we actually got along swimmingly.
The movie is Hot Dogs the Movie.
It is.
This guy had the idea. These guys together made it happen. And it'll come out sometime this summer.
Yes, absolutely.
So there will be a big thing. There will be
Stay
a big
tuned.
release.
Stay tuned.
Walk the red carpet.
Are we
gonna
going to have
be
those,
huge.
like, Klieg-like things?
I hope so.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah, you got to have those.
Or at least a guy with, like, a flashlight or his
What's
iPhone
another
flashlight.
few grand?
We'll have
on
a couple
the,
glows.
in the kitty.
Oh,
In,
good,
in
that's
for a
fine,
penny,
too.
right?
Exactly.
Thank you, Facebook Live, for watching. Really appreciate it.
Thank you
Oh, and I
so
should
much.
mention,
Exciting.
did I say we're at Hubs?
Marty, what
You
up?
should hold that up. That's
Yeah.
We're at Hubs. I've been eating some gyros.
I've been doing this.
Nick ordered chili, which is perfect for car eating. But thank you. This episode will be live. You'll hear everything with Nick and Chris and Hot Doug 2 weeks from today on Carne, thanks to Boost Mobile. And thank you for watching.
Peace
Here we go.
out.
I'm going to finish this.
Finish it.
Finish.
Ending live
Well done.
video now.
How cool is that? It's like having a GoPro.
pretty
It's
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Looks great. The screen
I think it was a
looks
little
great.
soft
Yeah, that
focus,
was like
but
the
I'm
way it
gonna
got
I'm gonna
everybody
work through it
awesome.
emotionally. That is.
All right, I think we're done with that. All right,
Nice.
so we have successfully completed the Facebook Live portion of the day.
Okay.
And I guess that wraps it up. We kind of said it all.
That's
The
it.
movie's on the way. I love and adore all three of you. And I'm really
That's
glad we
very
got
nice
to do
of
this.
you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
This
very
was super
generous
nice
of you.
This is my third time, and I'll come sit in the back of this car anytime.
Do you sit in a different seat every time?
I think he actually
I
has.
have.
I think
That's right. I have. Now
think
I've
he's-
sat, except for the driver's seat, I've sat in the other three.
You're kind of like the Alec Baldwin of Carne.
There
But
you
I
go.
think it's
He's the
going-
go-to guy.
No, I started in Nick's seat, so I was going to
put
say
the coffee
it was
down.
like sort of like a volleyball rotation, but it's not. I kind of
Sausages for closers.
Nice.
All right. Again, thanks to Boost Mobile. Thank you, Chris Markos. Thank you, Nick Markos. Thank you, Hot Freakin' Doug.
Thank you, JVO.